Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Brahmanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dundvadidam Gaganasadrisham Tattvamasyaadilaksham Egam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadi Sakshibhudam Bhavadidam Trigunarahidam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Yasya prasadadahameva Vishnu Mayyeva sarvam parikalpidam cha Itham vijanami sadatmarubam Tasyangri padmam pranadosmi nityam. In the Vakyavritti, this beautiful verse is there, that the teacher is one Yasya prasadat. By his grace of the teacher, I know myself as Vishnu. Ahameva Vishnu. Not somebody, not other than me. Ahameva Vishnu. Mayeva sarvam parikalpidam cha. In me, everything is parikalpidam. In me alone, everything is sankalpa. Kalpana. Kalpana means I am imagining the whole world of plurality in me. Mayeva sarvam parikalpidam cha. And itham vijanami sadatma rupam. This is the real true nature of that sadvastu, sadatma. Itham vijanami sadatma rup. If I am able to understand that, it is by the grace of the teacher. Like that, the student prostrates to the teacher at the beginning of the class. Idham vijanami sadatma rupam tasyangri patmam. And that teacher who has made me realize this truth in myself, to that lotus feet of that teacher, I prostrate to. That 4 lines is so very beautiful. You understand? Which is our subject matter of our talks now, that in me alone everything is parikalpidam, kalpana, adasmin tadbuddhi. That our famous quotation of Balasubramaniam, always he will say, adasmin tadbuddhi. In that tadbuddhi, asmin tadbuddhi. In this I have got tadbuddhi, that buddhi. Oh, this is how we have to see. Chitta spandidam evedam grahya grahavadvayam chittam nirvishayam nityam asangam tena kirtidam. So I was in the verses in Kaivalya Upanishad is very clear that jiva itself is only a imagination of that. How did he get that type of an imagination? Maya. Is it not? That is. And having become the jiva, not become. Jiva is only a name. In that jiva becomes the waker. He says, I am the waker. I am the dreamer. I am the deep sleeper. That way. You know, it becomes an abhimani of all the 3 mithya stages. It itself is mithya. And it arrogates to itself a jiva bhavam and becomes a ahankari. This is how ahankara is born. So after that, sky is the limit for your imagination. Sky is the limit for your vikalpas. Sankalpa vikalpatmakam manaha. So that is what exactly this also is saying, but in a different language and a little more different Sanskrit, I feel, honestly. So it appears as though I didn't understand. Actually, you did. You have understood it from the very first Upanishad. And what is it? That Chittam. Once you understand Chittam is only a reflection, not really, then you understand I am not different from the Bimbam. When there is a Bimbam and Pratibhimbam is same as Bimbam. My reflection is not somebody else's reflection. It's my own reflection in the mirror. So, we will always say, that is me. Is it not? When we say, show our reflection or the picture in the photo, you say, this is me. Somebody asked, where are you in this picture? And you show immediately, this is me. How can that be you? I mean, logical you must become. How can that be you? That is only a bit of a piece of paper. Have you understood? So in ordinary parlance, we use this type of a understanding often. So there is nothing wrong. In the philosophical way also we use the same thing. Chittam is only a reflection of the... Supposing you say, my reflection it is that, and I am a doctor, I am this thing, I am born in such and such a place. All the Jiva Bhava, you superimpose on that reflection, and that reflection I am, you say. So I have become that. I have realized myself as that. This is what is called the birth of the Jiva. Actually, there is no birth. And he, Chittam Nirvishayam, and hence because it is the same thing as that, it is Nirvishayam, Nityam, Asangam. That which I am seeing or I have created by my sankalpas, I don't have any connection with them. I am not in any way touched by them. Like that. If you are touched by them, then you have become identified with your own creation. That is all. If you are not affected by anything, I know it is all one Maya. No. I am not going to be affected by that. Such a man is a man who has known the truth, whose vision has changed. So, having said that is Yosti Kalpida Samvritya Paramarthena Nastyasau Paratantra Abhisamvritya Sannasti Paramarthadam Yo asti kalpida samvritya. Imagines kalpida samvriti here stands for Vyavahar. Kalpidam, imagined Vyavaharam. Kalpidam Vyavaharam. Yo asti. Kalpida samvriti means imagined Vyavaharam, meaning thereby avidya kalpidam. Kalpidam is only by avidya. You don't have to imagine something if you know the reality. If you know the reality of the snake, or the reality of the rope, you don't have to imagine a snake in it. Because you don't know it only, the mind projects. In that rope you project a snake. Suppose you already know the rope, then will there be a imaginary snake on it? No. So this imaginary world, Paramarthena Nastyasau, and Avidya Kalpidam Vyavaharam, by that all these are seen. In reality it is not there. Paramarthena Nasti Asau. It is not there. Paramarthena Nasti. Then Kalpidam, it is there. When the rope is only kalpita. I mean, the rope is imagined as the snake. The snake is an imagined snake. In reality, there is no snake. If that is understood, paratantrabi samvritya. Maybe they say some other people, some other shastra, paratantrabi samvritya, some other traditions are telling it is real. Even though you have made sankalpa of it, it is real. Even then, really speaking, it is not. Many people may say it is there, I have also seen, I have also seen, I have also seen. Even then it is not real. So many people will say this world I live in is real, but that is their vision. Nobody can deny that vision. But what is the reality of that snake? What is the reality? Is it real? No. And when will you know it? When I see the rope. Here also, what is the rope here? That rope example you must know very well, because that's the only example we use. The rope is the actually Paramatma. You understand? What is the snake? This world. You understand? So in that Paramatma, you are seeing a world. Due to what? Kalpana. What Kalpana? Maya Kalpana. Okay? Now, if I have to see the rope is the reality. If I see the rope, let us say, then this Kalpana Lokam will disappear. It's so simple. Actually, the Kalpana Lokam will disappear when you know the truth of it. And the truth is that it is the Nisangaha Nirvishayaha Atma. So also the Satyavastu rope, because it has got only limited reality. So rope has only limited reality, but it is only an example. And that is the limitation of the example. If you say compare it with the Atman, it cannot compare it, because it is only a object from the same Maya world. So you cannot have all the things equated in the Atman. But for example's sake, no example is perfect when it comes to Atman. Every example is wanting in something. So also here, when I understand that snake as the rope as real, the snake that I had experienced will. So also, when will this world of waking world disappear for you? When I param drishtva nivartate. When I see the real, the Paramatma, then there will be no world. You mean to say there is no world? There will be world, but that world I see with different eyes. Eyes of understanding. Third eye. That is the third eye. The third eye is the eye of wisdom. From that third eye, when I look, I know it is not real. The world is not real. Its sorrows and joys are not real, and nothing is real in the world. Everything is a sankalpa. You mean to say these are not my children? Yes, from the absolute point of view? No. If you are talking from here, yes. Then I don't want Vedanta. Like that some people will say. Okay, please yourself. You understand? Please yourself. You want truth or everything, even I myself, the jiva. I myself, my body, my mind, my intellect are all kalpana. Then why are you saying only my children are real? You understand this? So, very difficult for common man to accept it and to live by it. Accepting maybe we can do intellectually accept. But to live by that knowledge requires kaschit dhiraha. Only some dhira purusha, some very brave person can come to that understanding and live by it. Kaschit dhiraha avritta chakshuhu amrtattvamichan. He becomes turned inward, away from the world of plurality, and comes to understand that immortal you. Only he can. Dhiraha means one who is not carried away by the sankalpas of the mind. There is a story, of what is it? Chitraketu. There is one story in Bhagavat where Chitraketu didn't have children, and usually I don't know, they have to please the gods before they get it. Anyway, he went to a saint and said, I have no children. So many wives are there, but no children. So, please help. And the saint gave a mango according to usual mango only. I don't know why it is that. In the story, always mango is. And the child was born to the Pattamahishi. He gave it to his Pattamahishi. Pattamahishi means the first wife. The, queen mother, to her chief wife, okay. Whatever. You didn't like the idea of mother. Okay. The wife ate it and she got a child. And the baby was so cute, and I think every time everybody was around the child and the mother. And the king never left that. Not only not the child, he didn't leave that room at all. So all the other wives are become jealous, green with jealousy. And they decided this child is the reason. Our husband doesn't even look at us now. This is too bad. So what did they do? They plotted among themselves and got the baby killed. Engaged some. What is that? Hired somebody, probably, I think so. Whatever it is, the baby died. He was poisoned and he died. And then Chitraketu was inconsolable. After so many years, he got one child, and that child also died. So he was inconsolable, and he could not be brought back to normalcy by anybody. And then that time Narada and Agastya visited him. Agastya Rishi and Narada. And so he made a request. And they consoled him. Poor fellow, he is a great bhakta. Chitraketu is a great bhakta of the Lord. And this had happened like this. Then he could not be consoled. So he asked Narada and Agastya Muni, I want to see my child at least once. The story is there in Bhagavat. At least once I want to see him, because I want to satisfy all my hunger by seeing him. So, seeing his great sorrow, the rishis agreed. Okay, we will go to Yamaloka. And they started for Yamaloka, and there the Yamadharmaraja received them with great hospitality, and then asked, what do I owe this honor? And then Narada said that he wants to see his child's soul. Body is not there, no? Only soul. See it for once more. That is why we have come, and please help this poor man. He is in so much sorrow. So he was brought. Yamadharma said, bring him. And brought the baby. And he said, come baby, your father has come to see you. Then the baby said one very important Vedantic truth. Which father? Which father you are asking me to see? Is it the first father which I had? I have so many fathers. Which father? You know, this baby's words made Chitraketu totally a Vairagi. Are, we are dying saying this is my child. But the child says, which father are you? Oh, this is too much. Chitraketu then and there became a Vairagi, and he started moving around the world, singing the glories of the Lord. He became a great Bhakta and went away and overcame his sorrow. Why he overcame the sorrow? Because he had known the truth that all this is only a Maya Kalpidam Jagat. All the stories in Bhagavad, they have got some moralistic meaning. Without telling that, only Katha they will say. And they will embellish the Katha. But they never tell what is the truth of that Katha. The truth is always Advaitam. And that they won't say. The Kathakara won't say. Have you understood? So, even this idea, this is my children, and hence, they should be like this, they should be like that, and I should do this for them, that for them. All these are Maya Kalpitam. Then how will the children and all grow up? They will grow up. How do the children of the birds and the animals and all grow up? They not growing up? Is it because they are hugging them to themselves all the time? Not at all. They are also growing up. In nature, in Malayalam there is a proverb, Vaye Kodutappan Vadiye Kattum. The one who has given this mouth, he will show the way for how to get food. Very beautiful that is. You understand? And he says here, Yada, there is no such chitta spandidame vedam, chittam nirvishayam nityam asangam tena kirtidam. Therefore, all these are only mere thoughts. So, kalpana means all are only thoughts. You say I am happy, I am unhappy, that is also thought. You say these are my children and hence I am very much indebted. I must look after them like this. When the day you can see any child with the same love and concern, then you have realized. For the Mahatma, all the people in the world are his children. Not that we are Mahatmas. We also have some partiality, some this thing. But who is a Mahatma? Who sees everyone? In whom the love has expanded to become universal. One day it will become universal. Only then you can call yourself a Mahanta. Antakaranam has expanded. This expansion in consciousness is what we call realization. Not merely knowing from the book that there is an Atman and that is the truth, but I am in a real, unreal world. But that is all I am now a waker, finished. So you accept that. If you accept that, you will never know the waking world is real. If you accept, then you have no entry there. It has relative reality, yes. That means I have to go beyond that. Then you will reach that higher state of consciousness when everything is accommodated in yourself. Everybody is not different from me. Everybody is my relative only. Not only blood relative. There is a word called blood relative. What is a blood relative? Because some blood of my great grandfather is there in that family also. That is blood related. Otherwise, we are thinking only of our immediate father, immediate grandfather, immediate. We are not thinking of the first father. Who is that? First father is the Paramatma. That we are not thinking. In that case, all of us are related, is it not? Otherwise, all other. That consciousness is in you, in me, in every being. From the level of consciousness, we are all one. From the level of the body, mind and intellect, we are all different. So, what Vada? Both Vadas are correct. You understand? Both Vadas are correct. That is why Gaudapada never mentions any Eka Jiva. All other things he has mentioned. But he is not mentioning any Eka Jiva and all that. For the Mahatma, there is only Eka Jiva, which is expressing through so many bodies. Understand? And for others, for Ajnanis, so many bodies only are there. Because they are in the world of unreal perceptions. So for them the world, it's Bahujivas. Have you understood this? In fact, if you go one step ahead, it like Gaudapada says, it is Ekatma Pratyaya Saram. Ekatma Vatam. One Atman in everybody. If I am communicating with you at the level of the consciousness, there is no difference between me and you. Remember, forgive me, in that book, the Chandala asks Shankaracharya, Gacha Gacha, go away. You are such a dirty man and full of all blood is coming out of your body and you are so dirty. Go away. Gacha Gacha. Then the Chandala asks a question, what should go away from what? Hey, are you meaning my body? What is the difference between your body and my body? Your body is also made up of Panchamahabhutas. My body is also made up of Panchamahabhutas. How can it go away from that? And if you are talking about consciousness, how can consciousness be all-pervading consciousness? How can it be separated? Your consciousness cannot be separated from my consciousness. At that level, it is the Adhisthanam. We are all one alone. So nothing can go away from anything. Immediately, Acharya Swamigal fell at the feet of that Chandala and said, if you know that much, then you are my guru. You understand? Manisha Mama, this is my firm conviction. And it is said all through the verses, so many verses are there, Panchakam, 5 verses. All the 5 verses, he did 5 Sashtanga Namaskar to whom? To the Chandala. Then according to story, Chandala was not Chandala. He came to test the knowledge of whether the Advaita is firmly established in Shankaracharya, and he came to test that, and he took his own true form of Bhagavan Shankara. The story goes like that. All beautiful stories are also there. Vedantic tales are also very nice. If you go on contemplating on it, you can't reach. Okay, now go to the next. Yosti kalpita samvritya, imagined vyavahara, or at the level of vyavaharam, but never the truth. Paramarthena nastyasau. And even if some other matams say, some other matams means some other viewpoints. Here matam does not mean Muslim matam or Christian matam, not like that. Matam here means by some other darshanam. There are so many darshanas. Suppose other darshanas say they are all real, like which darshana he is mentioning here? the Dvaidyans and the Sankhyanas and the Nayayikas, all those darshanas, even if they say it is there, even if they say so, in reality it is not there. What can we conclude from that? That all those who say a real world has emerged from the Paramatma, they are ajnanis. Whether they belong to this darshana or that darshana or any darshana. So even if you are a Vedantin and if you say they are real, you are also a Dvaidin only. Have you understood this? We also say we will hold this because it is giving us so much comfort. And I want to know that. Viruddha svabhava. Yushmad asmat pratyaya viruddha svabhavat. Brahma Sutra starts like that only. They are of opposite nature. It cannot be the truth. All Dvaidam is thus denied. So the 73 says we cannot say the mind is nirvishayam and hence asangam, as Shastra should be a Vishaya for the mind. Now he has got one question to ask, but the Shastras other Shastras also say that it is there. It says that the mind is savishayam and not nirvishayam. What about that? They are asking, Shastra should be a Vishaya for the mind. Even if nothing else is a Vishayam, Shastra is a Vishayam or not? Shouldn't we go by the Shastra Pramana? Is what they question. And he says, if they argue like that, what should we say? We say that Shastra, Shasta, Shishya are all avidya Vishayas, not Vidya Vishaya. Don't be very happy. Teacher is also denied. You are also denied. Shishya also. Meaning thereby not that we are thrown out through the back door. It's not like that. It is to say these roles that you have put on yourself, they do not really exist. They are only masks we wear in this world of Vyavaharika world. I have hundreds of masks, is it not? What all masks? Everything. Father, son, brother, sister, son, etc. Grandson. And then when you go to office, I am the officer, I am the doctor, I am the engineer in various types of roles. All those roles are what? You mean to say, if I am a doctor, I should say I am something else? No. You may be a doctor or you may be anything. By in here. Where? There you are not a doctor also. I may be a Brahmana here. So, very big, proud. Or a sannyasi. Who are you? Sannyasi. Highest ashrama, do you know? Like that. That is, immediately you know he is not a sannyasi. Sannyasi is one who has become atyashrami. He has gone beyond all ashramas. He doesn't have any ashrama. Varnashramas are not there. Dharmas are not there. That is the highest state. It doesn't have dharma, it doesn't have punya, it doesn't have anything at all, no divisions in it. One akhanda sachidananda surupa atma. Even if you say that the Shishya are all avidya Vishayas and jnana upayas. And why are they all posited here? Jnana upayas. Upaya sovataraya. You remember that verse has come in the first Agama Prakarana, I think. Upayo sovataraya. So means what? Saha avataraya. To explain that we are taking a hypothesis of a world of plurality. It is only a hypothesis, not real. And Sovataraya, all this avidya vyavaharam, will come to an end after knowledge takes place, and then jnade tattvam dvaidam na vidyade. Jnade tattvam, again that has also come. Jnade tattvam dvaidam na vidyade. Aja kalpida samvritya paramarthena napyajaha paratantrabhinishpatyah samvritya jayate tu saha. If I read 80th verse, you will also read. Andhena iva niyamana yadanta. Isn't it so? You took as much time as I took to think it is real. Okay. Now he says, Ajaha kalpida samvritya. Vyavaharam samvritya vyavaharena kalpidam. And which is imagined, which is kalpidam vyavaharam. We say ajaha. What is it he's trying to say? Continuing the previous. When you take suddenly from the middle, you don't know what exactly it is. He's trying to say from where we have stopped. What we have stopped is the Shastra is a Vishayam. Savishayam, when we say Shastra, this is the doubt of the Purvapakshi. It is again expanded in this verse. So, what does in scripture, if scriptures are part of Samvriti, that is Kalpida experiences that we have in the world of unreality, which is an upaya to lead the pupil ultimately to reality. Sovataraya, we see. 3:15 in the Advaita Prakarana, 15th verse it is. Sovataraya. Atma is called unborn, but in reality, even this is not so. So they say, who said it is unborn? Who told you? It's not so. Why? Atma is called unborn, but in reality, even this is not so. Atman is described as Aja only to combat the established conclusions of the other schools of philosophy. There is only so many, philosophers also say that Atman is born also. Buddhists never talk about it at all, let alone saying anything. Some others say that who says that it is not born? It is also born. When you say there are two things, like Pradhana and Purusha, then there must be a third thing which has given birth to this. You understand? There should be a third Swatantra Satta which has given birth to Purusha and Prakriti. That is what he is mentioning there, established conclusions of the other schools of philosophy. Atman is neither born or unborn. So what he is trying to say is, even to call it Aja is not correct. Even to call it Advaita is not correct. Why? Because then it is not Dvaita. When you say it is Advaita, Advaita is the opposite of Dvaita, then it is not Dvaita. And if it is not Dvaita, then you cannot say Brahma, that word cannot be used. Brihatvat Brahma, all-inclusive Brahman, infinite Brahman cannot be thought of by a word. So Aja is also not correct. This is how Vadis are, don't get. They will let you catch something and make a big hole there in your argument. Okay? That's why I hate to go for Vadas. This Brahma Satra you must attend at least once. In your area there will be. must go to that Brahma Satra once, and after that you won't go. And all will be in Sanskrit, mostly. In the Bhandarkar University and all, there will be. And if you go, you'll be surprised at the way they are doing the Vada. Sometimes you wonder whether they want to know anything or whether they want to establish their own petty theories. That also happens. Okay, so he says, as Aja only to combat, Atman is neither born or unborn, it just is. That's all. Then what do you say? It is. Isness is its nature. Now isness, now you are giving a Visheshanam to it. So what should you say? Mauna Vyaghya Pragadida Parabrahma Tattvam Yuvanam. Mauna Vyaghya. Mauna only can explain that, because any word is dualistic in Dvaidam. Somebody says it is Juta. If you use your lips and utter one word, that word has become Juta. So you cannot say its name is Brahman. Who gave the name Brahman? Nobody. Who says it is Ajam, Nirvishayam, everything? Only these Vadis. Nobody else had given. It was never, mother is not there, for Brahman. Who will put a name for it? If a mother has given birth, she will give name, but not if it is not born. So Ajam also you cannot use. There cannot be a complete definition of the absolute. Hence we say, Yato Vacho Nivartande. Have you understood that? These are all very important because why in the Vedanta so many times the words are used, but you have to go beyond the words. You want to understand, you have to go beyond the words. You know what they say? You have to read between the words. In all learning, you have to read between the words. Then only you are getting a glimpse of the truth. Otherwise, no. Vachyartham always destroys the proper understanding. Lakshyartham must be, implied meaning should be glimpsed at. Then only you are glimpsing at the truth. Otherwise, no. So, Vachyartham, most of the Vedantic teaching today, unfortunately, is only Vachyartham. They don't go deep, they don't look at the implied meaning. The Lakshyartham is difficult to understand, so Vachyartham is enough. Ajam, understood, unborn. You understand? This is how we study. Advayam or Advaidam, one without a second. You can say it in your club, but not in a sadas. Club will put nowadays I am studying Vedanta. Like that they will say in the club. Okay, what do it is? What? There is one Atman, which is Ajam, Nirvishayam, and everybody else is so impressed with the glasses in their hand. They will be very impressed. I can imagine. You understand that type of student is no good, because already head is flying. Okay. Be a complete definition of the absolute is impossible. All definitions, including even the Surupa Lakshana, definition is all only pointers. But the nearest you can think of Brahman is only by Surupa Lakshana, which is, it is of the nature of Satchit Ananda. This also requires a bhashya to be really understood. Otherwise you can't understand. What is Brahman? Sachidananda? What is Sachidananda? Don't ask inconvenient questions. You understand? Nobody can answer. How many classes I have described this, not only here, whenever these teachers call me to give one talk, like you called yesterday, Sambhiji, like that they will call me to give a talk. And very often I will take this, what is Brahman's nature, Surupa? Then at least some will say Sachidananda. Now tell me, what is Sat? What do they mean by the word Sat there? What do they mean by the word Chit? Then word meaning I don't want to help. And they get perplexed, really. After studying so many Upanishads, Gita, everything. Sat is that existence principle. Is called Sat. My students know it, I talked it so many times in the class. Existence principle in everything is called Sat. What is, you are existing, your istness is the only indication that you are there. Is it not? You are there, I am there, you are there. When you say, that is shown by the word is, are, am, you are, I am. By that word we have that Satta, and the total Satta is Brahman. In other words, the existence in the existing objects of the world is called Sat. So now how do you understand? Sat means everywhere it is. Sarvavyabi, immediately you get. Sarvagadam, you got all that meanings by explaining this one word, Sat. If something is existing, that existence belongs to that, and only Namarupas belong to this. And existence itself is consciousness, consciousness itself is Anandam. That some other books will describe that. Existence itself is when I realize the Atman, the self, when I know I am Brahman, in fact, what will happen? I know immediately I am ever existing reality. The existence is continuous. It's not an existence of coming and going. Have you understood this? And hence I am ever existing. I have no fear of death thereafter. Should not have, if you have understood. I understood, but I am afraid I may die. Sorry, you are not understood. This is the problem with Vedanta. And now, same thing about consciousness. I am and I am conscious. Is it not? They are. If existence is not there, consciousness cannot be there. Is it not? If I am not conscious, then existence will be inert, and that is not possible. How can existence be inert? Inert existence cannot think of even. It doesn't know anything. Ignorant it is, we can't say. So, consciousness and existence, which existence? Absolute existence. Absolute consciousness, pure consciousness. Meaning thereby what? The knowing principle is consciousness. Don't say, no, my consciousness and your consciousness made friends. Yeah. They never make friends or anything, they are one. If you have got two people only, you can make friends. No two. And Anandam we have already known in the Taittiriya Upanishad. I think I have explained this. What is Anandam is Anantata, which is unlimited. Neither limited by time or space or causality is called Aparichinna Vastu is Brahman. Hence, it is always bliss. Why it should be bliss? We are limited and hence we are unhappy. Is it not? I think I am limited. What? I should have a better body, I should have a better mind, better intellect, better understanding. I am always wanting to improve myself. So somebody says, you come to our seminar, I'll give you a shining mind. Immediately thousands of people will go. If I tell on the treetops and I am going to give you moksham, all of you come, nobody will come. Anybody is interested in moksham? It's only a word which we tarry about and talk about, that's all. Are you really interested also? No. Because everything is unreal. Why, if you'll say, you better go and sit there only. I don't want you here. If you go on telling her, you are also in Maya. As children also, you are not real. I as an individuality also is not real. What happens to you in your spiritual life is very, very sacred and secret. Don't share it with anybody. Have you understood? It should not be. It is a most intimate experience. Do we share our intimate experiences? No. So also. And then don't go about prattling. I am now meditating for 2 hours. Sure enough, she or he will not be meditating just to say, to impress everybody. If you are, just be in yourself. Those experiences, those sadhanas are, very intimate to you, and now you are not going to share it with others. The only person you can share your spiritual sadhana is with the teacher. If there is doubts, otherwise that is also not necessary. Okay, so then all definitions are pointers only. Any definition you can make about Atman is only a pointer to the truth. Gurudev will so many arrow marks to the truth. His words are always ringing in my ears. So many arrow marks to the truth. In the 13th chapter he takes that the values and all, he will say 20 arrow marks to the truth. Amanitvam, adambhitvam, ahimsa, kshandirarjava, ajarya, upasanam, something. Have you understood this now? Satchidananda is to be thought of. What it means. What is the vyapti of those words? The words cannot contain. The words cannot contain the weight of what you are saying. So, by words it is not explainable. Even Satchidananda is not a positive definition of Brahman. If you ever get the Brahma Sakshatkaram, then only you will know it. Otherwise, its real intense meaning you cannot understand. Okay? So, language has validity only in the relative plane. Why it is so? Because there where everything is silence. There where you cannot explain anything. You have become a Muni, Manana Shilavan Muni. What do you say? One word and fall silent. If you ever reach there, you will experience that way. Is the relative plane. The objection is mainly from the Vaisheshika school and the other Nayayikas and all. When the other schools proclaim that Atman is born, the Vedantin has to say it is unborn, but we can't take it as reality, as it is always neither born nor unborn. Neither Karya or Karana. Neither no duality in it at all. You cannot explain it as the opposite of anything. You cannot say Brahman is happiness. Like, Brahman is love. You can't say. Why? Love is the opposite of hatred. That is why God is love is a very flat statement. God is bliss. That is why we have found another word for it, which is not the opposite of anything. There is no word opposite to bliss. You may say sorrow and all that, but that's not real opposites. Have you understood? So when you say, Brahman is divine. I mean, make some such statement, you are only partially correct, not fully. Then what about all those people who are undivine? All those people who are Rakshasas? What about them? They are not Brahman? But your understanding is what? All are Brahman. Now you are saying he is divine. The undivine people are all not Brahman. Good people, goodness is the quality of Brahman. If you say, then all bad people are excluded. No, neither good nor bad, neither love or hatred, beyond. Difficulty is there. But you have to think in these lines. That's why I am telling you all this so elaborately. But we can't take it as reality. Why? Because Brahman is always anirvachaniya, where the words cannot explain it, cannot reach and explain that truth. Anirvachaniya khyati. There is a khyati called anirvachaniya. Okay. So having said that, now you understood that, I hope. I'm hoping everything, but God knows. Ajak kalpita samvritya paramarthena napya ajaha. In truth, you cannot call it aja also. Any definition is not correct so far as Brahman is concerned, because it is the opposite also. If you say Brahman is nearer than the nearest to me, immediately you have to qualify it by saying he is farther than the farthest. Because you cannot say he is sitting in my little heart and nowhere else. How can you say? The very thought is unbelievable, is it not? He is everywhere. And how will you say everywhere? Farther than the farthest. In between also he only. So, what the teacher says or the Shastra says, you must be able to see beyond that ordinary meaning and understand. The hypothesis is always for that the student goes beyond the hypothesis and understand it, what is indicated and not what is said. What is indicated. So when you say A is a point with no dimensions, that no dimensions only you should remember. Not that A is a point and but there is such small dimensions in it. I can see the dimension. I think I am becoming a sukshma buddhi now. You are not seeing anything. You cannot imagine the point without dimensions. Is it not? Similarly, you cannot imagine Brahman without any definitions. Very difficult. No words can tell you what it is. So, Paratandrabhinishpatya, based upon the Dvaita Shastra, Shastra Kalpida Vyavaharam, says it is Ajaha. In fact, Vedanti, if you ask Vedanti of highest order, meaning great realized souls, they will say, what is he? Neither Aja nor Jadi is there in him. Neither. No birth, no death, no nothing. Thus, Samvratya is according to the Vyavahara in which you are, the type of Shastras you have, you call him as Ajaha. Or you call him as he is born. What is he referring to? That in our Puranas, we tell that Brahman is born as Vishnu, Krishna, Devi. Is it not? Why? That is their understanding, Dvaidins, and they say he is born. And it is to make a story for the Manda Madhyama Adhikaris. They can understand it only by a story, and that story it is not reality. The reality is he is never born. So Krishna is born, and Krishna died with the hunter's arrow. Where did he go after that? That will be a pertinent question. He has gone to Vaikuntha. And what is Vaikuntha, by the way? All words, Vak Prapancham. You understand? Vaikuntha in Narayaniyam, he describes it as Vikuntha, where there is no agitation, the mind which has come to a stop. The mind which is Shandam, Advaidam, that mind. That is called Vaikuntha. So, where did it come from? From the mind only. And where did it go? Must have gone to the mind only. If you ask questions in Puranas, storytelling and all, they will get very angry. Because what, you are making fun or what? So, properly understand. Yeah, we are not saying that it is the pleasure of the Lord to manifest himself. He might come. I am not saying it doesn't happen. But they are only stories. A story cannot be the truth. Story is always exaggeration. Proving a point, that's all. Story is only. Na jayade, nada samvritya jayade tu saha, subject to change. He becomes Vyavahara Anusrudam. According to the stand of that particular Dvaitavada, he dies, he fights, he loses his wife. Everything happens. And whenever I read Ramayana and say, Rama was so unhappy and he went about crying and all, that I don't accept. That is only mere imagination of the writer. How can Bhagavan shed tears? He knows it is all one big Maya. And the little Sita which is lost is Maya. Maya Sita. That also they will say in the book. So wherever they cannot convince others, they will say that Sita who was thrown in Valmiki's ashram was Maya Sita. And where did the real Sita go then? Don't You understand? Stories are there, limitations. I am not joking or anything about Bhagwan. Bhagwan can appear in any form. But you make Bhagwan appear as though he is one of you. By the stories that we have created about him. In Krishna Avadara, that is why Krishna Avadara is called a Purna Avadara. Why? Because there Bhagwan is totally different. He is not bothered at all. Whether have you seen that? He is more near to that Adhyatmic truth. He never cries. He never felt any viraham by leaving the gopis and all that. Nothing of the sort. They were unhappy. He was not. He was a man of who meant, what he was supposed to do, he did it perfectly. Every action was perfect. Whereas Rama had taken birth for teaching people how to live in this world. He was Manushya Shikshanartham, it is said. He has come into this world so he behaved like a human being and showed all the weaknesses of a human being also, so that they will be convinced. Whereas Krishna didn't have to do all that. He never cried. The whole Yadava Kulam went, what to say? All died. Who? All means who? The sons, the grandsons, the wives were carried away by some dacoits. Bhagwans. That is what the story is. To tell us he had no attachment to anything. It's a wonderful story, Bhagavad. And he says, he went, not a single wife he married because he wanted that wife. Not a single. Everybody wanted him. He didn't want anybody. Rukmini down. Everyone wanted to marry Krishna, but Krishna had no particular attachment. He loved the whole universe. All these many things we can study from the story of Bhagavad and Ramayana. Other books we can read for our own interest, but these are idihasas, and they are the warp and woof of our society. The whatever culture we have come from that. The way to live. Ideal son, ideal husband also he was. Why? Ideal husbands leave their pregnant wives in that forest. One lady told me, I'll never worship Rama. I said, why? I was surprised. Because what he is, again, he is an anti, what is his name? What do you call in English? Male chauvinist. He is a male chauvinist. I heard good laugh at her. It's only an imaginary story to prove some point. All gods are worshipful because they are they are taken avatar, and in them that Chaitanyam is much more. That is why they are called gods by us. Why everybody we are not calling gods? That manifestation is very powerful in such people. Hence they are called, they are looked up to by the common man. And they have become, in due course they become the worshipful gods in many, many temples. Everything is in, it is correct. We cannot deny that. It's all correct. So, only thing is, who is Rama, who is Krishna, who is Shiva? Like that inquiring, you will come to that alone. That cannot be made in a worshipful entity because it is Nirguna, Nirvishesha, Nirakara, Niradisheya, so many, all ni. No. So it's very difficult to think of Omkara as worship. That is why I said, don't worship, you worship Rama, Krishna, whatever form you like, Shiva, and put all that you know about Brahman into that. In your imagination, you are very imaginative. That is why you have created a whole world. You understand? Don't think you are lacking in that. So you imagine this is Brahman. Is it not? That's what we do. Idol worship is only that. This is Brahman. Who is Sri Krishna? Sri Krishna is Brahman. Who is Sri Ramchandraji? Brahman only. Manifested in this form. And their actions and their thoughts and their sayings are all not of our level. It is on a very high level. Even for giving up Sita, there is a lot of why he gave up Sita is not because he didn't want to divorce his wife. It's not because of that. Then why he gave up Sita? Because of the wrong understanding of the subjects. And it is the duty of a king to be the moral guardian of society. You understand? And hence he said that even if one man doubts her chastity, then I should not keep her with me. And he sends her off. After that it is said Sri Ramji never slept in that royal bed. Thereafter he was only on a kusha grass bed for the rest of his life. He was like a widower. He lived like that. All this is given in Vatmiki Ramayanam and every Ramayanam. And that to show he always loved her. He did not give her up because he didn't love her. But for a king, the duties are legion, and one of the duties is to make maximum people happy for the maximum number of years. And hence, if his action is going to make his subjects walk the path of morality correctly, he will do it in spite of his own personal sorrow. This is how you have to understand Ramchandraji. In other words, God playing the role of an ordinary man. If you are a leader of the society, you must always keep the interests of the society on the top, not your own personal interest. So understand, when Bhagavan takes avatar, he will be a Margadarshi for all people. Why did Bhagavan Krishna take birth? Because he wanted to kill Adharma, and Adharma was ruling in Hastinapur, and he wanted to destroy that Adharmis. And in that destruction, even his own whole family died. And it is said in one book I read, and it was so touching. He said one who had seen the destruction of the entire family with dry eyes. That is Krishna. Never had any attachment. He was everybody's man, not one person's. That is the difference. So all this you have to, don't think I am Vedanta and I won't read all that and I will not worship anybody. Okay. Please yourself. Worship yourself. Probably you can do that. In other words, initial stages, Upasana is also very useful. Upasana Sahita Jnana. Then Upasana is like a pole in the hands of a pole vaulter. Afterwards, you can even drop the upasana. By the time you would have reached the real knowledge of yourself as Brahman. Until that time, all that is said in the Shastra is meaningful and should be practiced. Okay, some little anushtanam, some little sadhana, whatever it is, japa. Krishna says, among all the yajnas, I am japa yajna. So do what is the harm in doing japa? Nothing. Onkara japa also is good, but you won't do because you have got a superstition that Onkara is only meant for Samis. Somebody told me like that. Not for Grihasthas. I never believe in any restriction. If I feel like chanting Om, I'll chant. But I have been a revolutionary all my life. Now I am not going to change. Kaschid Dhira Purushaha. Okay. I think we have. Next is 75th verse. Samvritya Jayade Dusha subject. 75th. Abhudabhiniveshosti. That we will do later. Then it will become 75th. You are like Gurudev told somebody, as a teacher I have given you all my best. Now it is up to you. The ball is in your court. Okay. Now I will request you, after the 25 verses, I will request you, don't depend on any teacher, don't depend on anything. You become free of even the teacher. Freedom requires all those things. No teacher, no teaching is there. So follow the teaching and awaken to your own real nature, which is glorious. This is all I have to wish. Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti.